Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert from the Business Awards Show, and I'm also the founder of the Best Business Women Awards and the Best SME Awards. And today I'm joined by Alison Rothwell, a digital strategist, tech expert, and founder of VA Website for You. She has over 25 years' experience in digital and marketing strategy, and Alison helps business owners turn their ideas into performing websites that actually convert. She specializes in building membership sites, learning platforms, and done for you websites, particularly for virtual assistants. And she combines smart strategy with practical, no nonsense delivery. So, we're going to be talking today about her business journey, her thoughts about websites, and finding out why awards have been impactful for her business. So, welcome, Alison.
Hi, Debbie. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's lovely to see you again. The last time I saw you, you were clutching a silver award on the stage at the Best Business Women Awards.
That's right. Yeah. No, what a thrill.
Good. And you had a good night?
I did. I loved it.
Good. Okay, Alison, well, let's start talking about your business journey because you've had your business now since 2007, so that's nearly 20 years. So, what
Mm.
made you set up your own business 20 years ago?
Well, actually, I had one of those experiences that I think a lot of women have. My early career was very hardcore kind of marketing, public relations, press work. I worked for a couple of the UK's biggest charities, St John Ambulance and also Go Guiding UK, and I then went into government communications. I held a number of communication posts in the Cabinet Office, HMRC, don't hate me. And I finished up working for an outpost of the Home Office, where I was head of policy and communications. At that time, I had my second child, and while I was away, there was a big reshuffle, and my post, as I knew it, went. And so I was faced, basically with the choice of going back to the civil service, but this time not being able to fulfill my specialist role, which is communications, because of course, I was offered another post at the same grade and pay, or striking out on my own. And at that time, I just thought, right, okay, I'll do something. So at that point, I set up a children's clothing business. I manufactured children's clothing. I created the UK's first, well, the world's first actually, completely organic children's t-shirt. And I actually did quite a few things with that. But what I realized very quickly was, of course, um, I was very good at the branding. We were top of the search engines, very good at the marketing. I won a few awards with that as well. But I wasn't very good at the whole manufacturing children's clothing bit, which is the key part, really. And I was actually at trade conference. One of my competitors approached me and said, who does your search engine optimization? Because you're always at the top of search engines. We were quite a friendly kind of group in our niche, by the way. And I said, well, it's me. And they said, well, in that case, can you do it for us then? And they became my first client. I closed that business and I started another business that became WP Fiddly Bits because we fix your fiddly bits. Um, Still concentrated on marketing and the reputation management because that was my kind of strength for my work. And at one point, I'd got over 100 clients, and I'd been running a side project for quite a while. One of my longest standing website clients is the UK's leading trainer for virtual assistants, Amanda Johnson. At that point, she was actually a virtual assistant herself. She left, she set up her own training and mentoring business. And I started getting really involved in virtual assistants, the backbone of many small businesses worldwide. And I had this side project to enable virtual assistants to have a professional website that fulfill the criteria that they need as VAs, because VAs actually do need to have particular things on their websites and ways that they present themselves online to get clients and get results. And so I set up a VA website for you. I sold WP Fiddly Bits last year. And now I'm working with a handful of digital marketing clients, my from previously, and going out all out on VA website for you, which is the reason that I won the award because of the particular way that those are set up and delivered to that particular audience.
Yeah, because it's quite niche, isn't it?
It
But
is.
there are a lot of VAs out there that need your help.
Yeah, there are over 6,000 as a guesstimate through the Society of Virtual Assistants,
Wow.
many, many more worldwide. And when you consider that each virtual assistant is probably working between maybe 6 or 10 small
Mm.
businesses in all kinds of weird and wonderful kind of niches themselves, although some do specialize. Um, yeah, they are really interesting. They tend to be women.
Mm.
They tend to come from highly skilled backgrounds, often former executive assistants, um,
Mm.
and they really are the powerhouse between many businesses themselves. I've always had a virtual assistant myself.
Mm.
They've always been fantastic, and yeah, it was an area that I was really interested in, particularly with knowing Amanda so well and watching the work that she had been doing to develop the industry and to professionally benchmark it and ensure adequate training and stuff. And I
Mhm.
just kind of saw that, yeah, one of the key things that a virtual assistant needs is to be professional online and have a online home that speaks to the clients that they want to work with because they're real businesses that they support.
Exactly. And most people that get a name of someone to work with will go and do a bit of due diligence and
Absolutely.
search them and have a little
Yeah,
look. And also you want to appear in the search engines when you're, trying to get
absolutely.
new
Yeah.
clients. Don't be invisible.
Yeah. And particularly if you're a VA that's working locally, it's so important to look at things like your Google Business profile, make sure that's up. You'll be amazed at how many people they don't have this free online platform connected to them in any way, and get your reviews through there and get yourself kind of found because the potential client will come and have a nosy. And if they don't come and have a nosy, they're not really the sort of client that you want to work with, are they?
No, that's quite true, actually. Um, so you're specializing in VAs, but you've got a lot of knowledge, and obviously our listeners are from a broad range of
Cool.
industries. Most are entrepreneurs. I've seen this trend over the last few years where people aren't having websites built. They're relying on Facebook profiles, Instagram accounts. What are your thoughts on that? Do people still need a website in 2026?
I think they need a website more than they even did 5, 10 years ago. Only last week, somebody that I know, a former client actually from way back at the start of WP Fiddlebits, found that she'd had her Facebook page closed down. And not only that, Facebook had closed her other business account. And she had no Instagram, she had no Facebook. She'd literally, at a stroke, lost her entire social media platform for those channels. If you're big on Instagram and you're using LinkedIn and you're using Facebook, TikTok, anything else that you don't own, you run the risk one day of getting up in the morning, putting yourself on, getting on your socials and finding you don't have a social anymore. Something somewhere has randomly happened and it's been removed, it's been whipped away from you. Um, Bizarrely, I only this week myself, I found an ad I was running was banned. And it was an ad actually for a local kind of civil servant post. And it had been banned because it was deemed as political by Facebook. This was for a job working for a council.
Mm.
And you also have the whole issue then of trying to find somebody to sort it out for you and get back online. You,
Mm.
you, it's so important to own your own area of the internet, your own domain, your own website. It'll be the thing that you can control. You always are able to put your own message on your website and your own branding and who you are, and it's also permanent as well because I always talk to clients about things like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn as well. It's a bit like kind of like a stream running past. And
Mm,
if somebody steps into that stream, your little bit of flotsam or whatever will hit them at that point. But otherwise, it will just sail past and they will never know. A
mm,
website is permanent. A website, if you get your SEO right, can be found when people are asking for help to solve their business problems.
mm,
And even the smallest thing that you can do in digital marketing with your website is probably a lot more than your competitors are doing, who are only restricting themselves to Instagram Reels or, the odd post
mm.
on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so true. Now, there's been this advent now with AI and
Mm.
DIY websites that you can do yourself. How do you think that kind of situation where people are creating their own websites can actually be quite damaging to their brand if the website doesn't work properly? Um, so, in your view, why should people work with a professional website designer as opposed to doing it themselves?
Well, you can look at it from a kind of visual perspective. If you work with someone who creates web designs, they'll be able to put on all the bells and whistles and make it look really good. Give it functionality that maybe you wouldn't be able to manage yourself. For virtual assistants, for a lot of them, that's things like integrating a booking calendar, for
Mm,
example. That's a big thing that I do. But there's also the whole other side of it about knowing what a website should look like from a trust and a brand perspective, which a lot of people, unless they professionally create websites, it's something that you don't really think about. When I create a website, I'm very clear on things like the messaging. People need to go to your website. They need to know exactly what you do immediately. And then there's a number of different elements to a website homepage that you really need to include, which will help you convert the casual watcher to somebody picking up the phone, sending that email request into you and getting in touch. For example, what I call trust marks, which are things like little badges from awards you might have won, people that you work with,
mm,
things that you've done, certifications,
mm,
insurance, all of that kind of stuff. You should have those on your front page. The other thing is integrating online reviews that are independent. You can get great ways to not just put up testimonials that have been sent to you. That's very powerful, but also bring them in from other platforms and other places and have them again on your homepage. It's really and that's before you get onto things like having a lead magnet, which is another opportunity for you to demonstrate your expertise to a potential client. They sign up for something, you send them something that's of value. Recently, for example, I've been working with a long-term client of mine, an acupuncturist. A
mm,
lot of people don't know about acupuncture. They don't know about traditional Chinese medicine. We've created a document that allows her. It's pages long. It's very well written by her. She's very down to earth, etc.
mm,
But it just gives those people curious who are coming to her website an opportunity to get to know her and to understand what she does and about the whole bigger subject as well. So it's like another trust element that I've introduced. Now, a professional web designer will know all of those things and even more and be able to
mm,
advise you. And if you are, you know, it's just, I wouldn't go to somebody who wasn't an expert to, I don't know, dye my eyebrows or something. The thought of that going wrong is just would be horrific. And it frequently concerns me that yeah, you can build something online yourself, but are you going to know the whole technical side to enhance that website? And are you going to be able to do the look and feel? And more importantly, are you going to know those little bits of marketing that will convert your leads into buyers, and your website is a powerful member of your team. I always say that your website should be the member of your business that works for you day and night without any rest.
Yes, very true. Very,
Mm.
very true. That's what it should do. It should be working for you constantly.
Mm.
So let's move on to talking about awards because you've been in business nearly 20 years now. So at what point did awards appear on your radar and what made you enter business awards?
Well, before I actually had my own business, I entered myself and my team for industry awards, and we won some in the public relations space and marketing space. And it's really interesting to look back on that because one of the reasons why I did that was to demonstrate credibility to the organizations that I was working for, saying, look, what we're doing is really great work. And look, these independent experts have recognized that. So for me, it was a natural thing when I started running my own business to look again about, about the trust and
Mm,
about the authority side of what I could do. It's all very well saying, hey, look at this, what I've done and created, isn't it great? But it's so much more powerful if you enter awards that have an expert panel
mm,
who look at independently, often anonymously, at what you've created, and they make a judgment on you. One of the things that I really like about your business awards, Debbie, is that it isn't a beauty contest in
no.
that you do not open it up to everyone to invite the members of their family and their friends and their network to vote for them because that's just so disingenuous. And so I only enter awards where it's an independent panel
Hmm.
and that it's established and prestigious because that, the awards that I've won people are able to look at that and think, yeah, that's a real award. That's not some kind of vanity project or something I paid for or, all of that kind of thing. And I just think if you, I know it's hard and I encourage all my clients to apply for awards as well because we're brought up to, and particularly if we're women, I think, not to say, hey, look at me.
Mm,
And entering an award is like, hey, look at me. Um, but you just have to get over yourself because if you don't, you're not going to be able to reach people who really need your help, who really need your services. And I think that, yeah, anybody who's not entering awards as part of their marketing strategy needs to seriously consider why not? Because if it's a matter of time, there are virtual assistants, for example, who can actually draft the beginnings of your marketing your business award application. If you're shy, then you just need to, as I said, get over yourself. You need to just find the time because if you don't, your competitors will.
true. So what benefits have you reaped from the awards that you've won? I mean, I know you've got them all on your LinkedIn profile, for example, and your website, but what's been the tangible benefits for you?
Well, first of all, it's an opportunity to say, hey, someone else thinks what I'm doing is good. So I've obviously been able to use it to promote myself and my business on social media. I've had
Hmm.
new clients come to me and approach me
Mm.
because they've seen, not necess and interestingly, not necessarily the promotion that I'd done about the awards, but the promotion that people like you, Debbie, had done for
Oh.
the award winners as well, which is, absolutely golden. And yeah, I mean, I don't think you can say much more than getting new business through awards activity.
And is it something you do on a regular basis, or do you do sort of an award entry and then maybe get to the final or win an award and then leave it for a while, or is it a constant part of your marketing plan?
It's actually become a constant part of my marketing plan. And in fact, Debbie, you've just reminded me it's in my diary next week to have a little shuffle around and see what else is out there that might be appropriate. I try and diarize it every month just to see, I'm not going to enter things that I'm not qualified to
No.
enter, but I positively search out, those opportunities and those organizations that I want to be associated with. So I've tried to do that because you're right. Previously, I would kind of do a bit of a fit and start about, oh, I've got something, and then I wouldn't do anything for about 6 months. But now, particularly as business awards organizations do so much to support those businesses that they recommend and that they shortlist and they bring to the finals as well. It's a massive opportunity, really, and you should take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. So 20 years nearly, long time.
Mm.
How do you stay visible? What activities do you do to gain new clients?
A lot of my clients are referrals, um, which is great, but referral marketing only takes you it's
Mm.
so far, and it's only as big as as the pond, as people say, that you're currently swimming in. So I try and do face to face. I sponsor a lot of virtual assistant exhibitions,
Hmm.
conferences, and I like to go to in-person events as well. Um, I try and regularly I work very hard obviously about my search engine optimization and my website and all of that kind of stuff. Another thing I haven't mentioned is there's a big saying that the magic is in your list, and that to me is a really key part of small business marketing, and that's something that isn't very visible. As a small business, that's something that you have and you keep, and you should develop your list of people that are interested in what you do, because then you can actually market to them. So I would say that is actually one of my key drivers in my business. And it's a bit that a lot of people, kind of like don't think about. But again, comparing it to things like social media, you own that list and you own that list of leads. And that's really important. So that's one big thing that I do as well. And then a lot of it is the usual, kind of social media activities and that. But I would say for me, the big things are the website and the lead generation with your list.
Yeah, definitely. And then you're getting out to conferences and meeting people in person, which is
Mm,
great. Because the
yeah,
VA community is very vibrant. They have a lot of activity, don't they? Lots of
yeah.
events, conferences, etc. So that's a really good strategy, to be honest.
Mm.
So what's the plans for you over the next couple of years? Because obviously AI is, hurtling
Yeah.
forward into all of our industries and penetrating into every corner of business. So, what is your plans over the next couple of years?
Well, I'm hoping to continue to um, harness new technology.
Mm,
VA website for you is going to go into a second strand of beta testing later this year, which will be enabling virtual assistants to get quicker online than ever before. And
mm,
I'm very excited about that. I'm talking to a number of people in the industry about what technology can be done to, do things like bring your words, put them on a website, um, get you what's called provisioning, which is when you get your website live ASAP. So I'm doing a bit of exploratory work at the moment in those kind of areas for version 2, which I hope to will go live very shortly. So I'm going to be keeping my very much within the web design industry on those kind of things that are going to make a difference to people and to my clients. Um, yeah, I mean, AI is a really strange one because I don't know about you, Debbie, but I'm already getting a bit fed up of when I put something into AI. I use AI as a research module.
mm,
That's what I use it for. I don't tend to use it for copywriting and things like that.
no.
For me, it's like, this is an interesting strategy. Tell me how this might be applied to my business. That's the kind
Mm,
of starting point that I use. But so much of it, the hallucination, making things up. I
Mm.
am a great believer in personal development, and I belong to a mastermind group of web developer agencies, basically. And I belong to the European part. It's a worldwide thing. And the owner of that actually put in his business name into AI to find out what I thought of it. AI gave him back a complete backstory to how the business was set up, why the business was named in that particular way. That was a complete lie.
It wasn't right.
It was just
Mm.
like, and he gave it to us, and it was just astonishing. It was all about how the name of the business was an acronym, and this is what the acronym stood for, and it was completely wild. And I think that people are already starting to see that you should be a little bit cautious. And I think as well, there's very strong rumblings in search engine optimization at the moment that there will be a crackdown. Google will have a crackdown at some point with content related to AI. So it's more important than ever before to use AI for the tools that it's good at, but remain human and keep that, bit of thing that makes you different because you don't know what's going to come further down the road. And if you've relied too much on artificial intelligence to be your voice and to represent you, there could be a really, big wake-up call coming, I think.
Oh, I know. Well, we're seeing more and more people using AI to do their reward entries. And
Right.
they're not checking it. And, it's quite obvious that they have put this stuff together using AI.
Are you going to ask people to admit that moving forwards?
It's very tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a tricky thing.
Yeah.
What we've always said since AI sort of really came into the mainstream, probably 2 years ago, was when we
Mm.
saw the rise of people using ChatGPT to write their award entries. Is that like we had a conflab with the judges about it because one of the judges was very up in arms about it. But fundamentally, you have to answer the question
Yeah.
and you have to put your evidence in. So
Mm.
if they've answered the question, and it reads so that it answers the question, then I've got no issue with people using AI because actually, as long as it makes sense, but what people are doing is they're using AI and AI is not answering the question.
Mm. Absolutely.
Um, I mean, the other issue we get far more frequently these days is people copy and paste stuff off their website and put that into an award entry.
Oh.
So if they think the judges aren't going to check that, then they're nuts. And again, some of the stuff is where they repeat them. So they've already said something in one question and then they're repeating themselves further down. And this is the sorts of things that I think AI will do,
Mm.
and I think like what you've said, if you use it for ideation or inspiration, it's fine, but you don't want to be using it to replace what you might say in your own voice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't penalize anybody if they answer the question. That's the short
That's
answer to that
yes.
question. And as long as they put evidence into their entry to back up what they've said. Because
Yes.
generally, the reason they don't get shortlisted or they don't win is because they haven't given the same amount of evidence as somebody who does win the gold, or they don't get shortlisted because they've missed gaps of information out.
Mm.
And we're seeing people trying to generate evidence using AI, and it doesn't work properly
Mm.
yet. I'm sure it will,
Mm.
but it doesn't work. And I think, whilst you can generate a website on AI in literally in a couple of minutes now,
Hmm.
again, working with somebody like you can actually go, well, actually, yes, what AI has created is functional, but it's not got all the bells and whistles on it, and it won't work as well. And we still need the human input, don't we?
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's
Yeah.
going to become more and more important as AI rises.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got the benefit of 20 years experience that you're bringing to the table. And this is often what people don't understand, that actually the benefit of those 20 years and what the knowledge that you've built and the mistakes you've seen people make and the
Mm.
things that you've seen people do, which is really good, and that you're keeping on top of all the trends, that's what people are paying for to work with you, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. 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 And it is right because, I am always kind of delving back into the past of,
Mm,
things I've done, things that have worked, things that haven't worked as well. Because
mm,
sometimes clients will come and say, I want X, da, 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 da. And I'm like, that isn't really going to work for you. And this is why. And I'm able to, kind of call up all of that kind of information and knowledge. And then people can make a decision kind of based on that.
mm.
ChatGPT, etc., and AI are only going to ever make decisions about the information you've given them.
Yeah.
You know,
And the information it can find, because
and it can
obviously
find, yeah,
every
or make
day
up.
it's getting populated with more information, so things will change. But we're going to see ads on chat. Well, there already is ads on ChatGPT now, so we're going to get bombarded with loads of stuff. There's always a price to pay.
Absolutely. There is.
And
But
we're
it's an exciting, brave new world, particularly
yeah,
for four complete geeks like me. Um, you know, yeah, I do get a bit of a thrill looking at what's coming down the road.
yeah, and I think that is there. Yeah, I think that's really interesting that it still gives you that thrill. And I think
Yeah.
you're clearly still doing the right job if it's making you feel like that.
Yeah.
So, Alison, do you work with anyone else apart from VAs? Do you work with,
I do.
you do?
Yeah. Although it's only like in the last few years that I have started to have this side project and then my main project, the niches. But I've worked with all kinds of
Okay.
weird and wonderful businesses. Blast cleaners. That was a really interesting one. A blast cleaner who was, probably the UK's most famous blast cleaner. It was something I knew nothing about. I've worked with embroidery businesses, worked with a lot of kind of people from the health sector. I'm currently working with a psychologist, which is a very interesting work. Yeah, I really enjoy on the marketing side, I really enjoy working with people that have got a problem to solve.
Mm, mm.
That's the thing that really excites me.
Oh,
Or one of the most interesting projects I ever worked on was as I've talked a bit about search engine optimization and how much I love that, getting people found. I had a client who didn't want to be found.
wow.
And I did a massive project on ensuring that this person could not be found easily on the digital landscape. And that was really exciting to do and has been successful. So, yeah,
Why
I
would
have to
he not want
say,
to be found? Is that because of what he did, or?
personal reasons. Yeah, they were estranged from their family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they didn't want to have they'd had things like their businesses interfered with and kind of because they'd been tracked down and stuff. And although they'd changed their name and their address several times, they were still really concerned about all of that. But that was really interesting, Everything I knew about getting found online put in reverse.
That's fantastic. Oh, we'll leave it on that note today. So thank you for joining me on the podcast. If you are listening to this episode and you're a bit stuck with your website and it's not driving you any results and bringing in those all important clients, then we will make sure that Alison's details are in the show notes and you can contact her for some advice and support with your website. So thank you for joining me, Alison. I wish you continued success with your business. I'm sure
You.
you're going to be holding more awards on stages
I
in the
hope so.
upcoming future. So take care. Thank you.
Thank you.